Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we return to Passant, a chess roguelike, but this time we're playing the challenging bot. Let's get started. Alright, the first thing we gotta do is go to settings and change the AI difficulty up to challenging, and now we can go back and start a new run. Alright, new game. And for our first round, we're given the option of standard, challenging, or just skipping the round, but with how much money I spend in this game, I basically need the reward. Standard, we get a king and 4 pawns. Challenging, we get a king, 2 knights, and 3 pawns, which is significantly more difficult, but we do have this queen coin, which promotes basically a pawn of our choice to a queen. So let's go with challenging. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is use the coin. Nice, we've now promoted this pawn to a queen. The knight develops, and we can be a little bit sneaky here, I think. We can try pushing this pawn, which is kind of like a trap. If the knight takes it, then there's back rank mate, but this is the challenging AI, so it definitely saw that idea, and we get a developing knight instead. Now, we can continue to be tricky. We can push another pawn, because knight takes b4 still doesn't work, loses to queen b8 check, which forks the king and the knight. We get d5, probably looking to develop the king, so all of those ideas go away. Let's keep pushing these pawns. I mean, even though we do have a queen, we have a passed pawn to work with, so might as well put it to use. We get knight to d4. I don't see any way for our king to be put under attack, so I think we can just keep pushing. e5 blocks the queen from supporting the pawn promoting on b8, so there is the idea of knight c6 now, stopping that promotion. Let's push another pawn, a5, and at some point this queen needs to come out to play, because back on h2 she's really not doing all that much. Let's play queen to h7, target the f7 pawn. We get king to e6, so we've now drawn the king away. We can keep pushing these pawns. Knight to f4, I guess looking for knight takes g2 with check. This feels like it loses a knight though. Let's see, if e3, we fork these two knights. Knight takes on g2, king to f1, and I don't see how our opponent defends the knight on d4 and the knight on g2. So I think e3 just wins a knight. Okay, we do get knight takes g2, king to f1. Oh, and we get a knight sack. Okay, that's an interesting way to play this. We'll go ahead and take back with the pawn. We did win the knight. Knight goes back to f5. We can just sack the queen with check, and there's no way to stop these pawns from promoting. Okay, promote, and we can probably get 6 checks here in just a second, but just for kicks, I'm going to promote the other pawn as well. Okay, king takes on e3. Let's make sure we're not stalemating. We're not, because king to d4 is possible. King to f4 as well. Yeah, let's promote. Pawn to f5. Now we have check number 1. Check number 2. 3. Oh, and we've gotten mate by accident. Okay, cool. Before we even get all 6 checks, we do get checkmate. All right, with that, we defeat round number 1. We get $6 in rewards. And let's see what that buys us in the shop. Okay, for badges, we have rooks to empresses, which in the past have not been particularly helpful since they're pretty unintuitive, at least for me personally, to use. The other badge is coin machine, demote. At the start of each round, receive 1 demotion coin. That's actually a really interesting idea, so I'm assuming it would give us one of those coins that demotes an enemy piece to a worse coin. That's actually a really interesting option because I assume this is that coin that demotes an enemy piece to a weaker piece. And last time we played this, the Dragon King was a big issue, although I don't know if you can use this coin on a king. The other options are pawn coins. Oh, 2 pawn coins actually. Okay, so we can basically get 3 for a really big discount because 2 is $6, but all 3 is 4. As far as pieces go, we have Empress, we have Bishop, and we have a Rook. All right, let's buy the coin machine with the idea that if we continue to collect coins, if we get like 4 coins at one point, we can actually recycle them and probably get some of our money back. We have $8 left. That's not even enough to buy a queen, and honestly, I'm not super interested in any of these pieces, but I don't want to go into the next round with just pawns and a courtesan, so I will pick up a rook, and I think we're in a good spot. So let's move on to the next stage. All right, standard entails 2 bishops, a rook, and a pawn, and of course the king. And challenging has 2 extra pawns, so really not a huge difference. I think we should go with this one. All right, so I think the first natural step. Okay, we get that demotion coin. Actually, let's try this out. Can I use it on a rook? Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, that's amazing. It does take a turn, but this is a totally different game that we're playing now. Let's play b4, start pushing these pawns. We get d5, let's keep pushing, and we need to develop this rook at some point. So h4 hangs a pawn. Let's play f4, although e4 is kind of a pain. Wow, we do get e4, in fact. That's really interesting. It's a strong bot. The opponent has 2 dark squared bishops, so I assume if I play e3 and then king e2, I guess my king can just never be put in danger. And at that point, we just have to develop the courtesan and bring the rook to support these passed pawns. That should be pretty much winning. Right, bishop h6, staring at a pawn. Let's play b5. King comes up to b6. Okay, let's push on this side of the board as well. We have another passed pawn here. Bishop to f6. g5 seems to just fork. Nice. These pawns protect each other, so let's bring this rook out. King to h5 seems to just hang f7. Nice. If the king takes, the passed pawn seems to just be able to run to the end, and I don't believe anybody can stop it. Sure, you can take my courtesan. That one's all yours. Yep, and we promote. Nice. Shouldn't be too hard to mate now. Let's play rook here, make a little battery, bring the rook back with check, and in 2 more moves, this should be mate. Nice, with that we defeat stage 2. For that we get $6, not bad. We don't have anything to boost our monetary reward, so that's not great. But we do have this demotion, which is kind of a inverse of the strategy we took last time. Last time we just loaded ourselves up on pieces. This time it seems we are playing to demote our opponent's pieces, which I kind of like. Okay, our badge options are zombie queens. Queens revive in the first empty square. Unfortunately, this doesn't matter because I don't have a queen. I mean, I might in the future. It might be worth that investment, but it seems to be giving me weaker pieces in general. So the other option is lazy present. On round start, mark 1 square. For friendly pieces moved to that square, receive a random coin if there's space. That's honestly not a bad idea. It would also introduce me to more coins. I'm just afraid we're going to get a bad coin. Helping hand, immediately give a random piece on your setup board a special modifier. Again, I don't know what these modifiers do. And then we have the money coin. Select a piece to gain half its value in cash, then pass your turn. Does that mean our opponent's piece? Because I feel like last time I interpreted this as select our own piece and get half its value in money. But it might mean our opponent's. Let's buy this. Why not? Let's just try it out and see what happens. We have $6 left, and honestly, these are all terrible pieces. I'm not going to roll for $3. That's half our balance anyways, so let's move on to the next stage. All right, hopefully we get another demotion coin. We have a boss now for $8 and a modifier, which is Fisher Random. At the start of the match, your pieces, excluding your king, will be randomly shuffled. Sure, have fun shuffling these couple of pieces. I mean, I guess the pawns would be the biggest pain. We'll see what our pawn structure looks like. Okay, honestly, not that bad. It kind of just developed our pieces, and our pawns now have inherent sort of structure to them because we have these diagonal connecting pawns. Okay, we also get a demotion coin and the money coin. So what happens if I use the money coin on the rook? I get $2. Okay, so it rounds down, which is not great, but I understand it, and let's just use the pawn coin on the rook right away. Bishop takes the courtesan. Yeah, I barely use the courtesan as it is, and then we get e5. Honestly, just by moving rook to b8 and pinning the bishop, this should be a completely winning endgame, so let's take the lazy route. And just take it. Sure. Okay, this is basically a matter of getting a passed pawn and capturing any free weak pawns with our king, so I'll go ahead and just speed through this. Okay, I've made this a lot closer than it really needed to be, but we do have this outside pass pawn, which we can push. We win the pawn on f3, and there's just no way for our opponent to stop all of these pawns at the same time. Nice, it seems the f6 pawn is going to get away. Let's give check on e5, reconnect the pawns. We get king to d7. We just push everybody, and if he ever takes, then one of these pawns will get away. Nice little sneaky move, very common bullet idea. f7, we promote to a queen, and now just 6 checks, which should be trivial. Nice, we get 6 checks and beat the boss round. Okay, that all in all is basically like the first phase. There are 2 phases left to go. We do get $8 from that. Finally, we can afford a queen, but it's not even offered to us. Okay, our badge options are Hunter's Mark. I think this one's new. 2 of your opponent's pieces are marked. Taking these pieces gives a payout of $1. That's not bad, I guess. Window shopper rerolls in the shop only cost $1. Ooh, I like that idea. And we haven't really gotten any interesting badges besides these. I feel like they're also nerfed because we're playing a stronger level, basically. Money coins, select a piece to gain half its value in cash, then pass your turn. So last time we basically lost $1 on this because our opponent didn't have any very strong pieces, just a rook, and we got $2 for that. All right, as far as the pieces go, we have another bishop, a knight, and an empress. I guess I should probably just invest in the empress because it seems that I'm not going to be offered a queen anytime soon, and this is as close as I'm going to get to a strong piece. So we'll buy the empress. I'd love to kind of use this money coin on a queen, for example, and then immediately demote it to a pawn on the next turn. So I'm going to keep this under my belt. I'm just not going to waste it on another piece that loses us money. So I think this is fine. Let's move on to the next stage. Actually, should I reorient my pieces? I think I should. Let's bring the king over. Bring the empress this way, and I think this is a good baseline, but let's see what we're actually offered. Okay, standard and challenging, the only difference is that challenging gets a full set of pawns, and standard is missing 3 of them, so for the extra $2, we might as well go with challenging. Not to mention we can demote one of these rooks, because we'll get a coin just for starting the round. Is there any way we can optimize this setup, though? Yeah, it looks like we can win this bishop in the corner. We just have to, let's see. Let's move this pawn over, I guess here to defend the h2 pawn, which is hanging, and then bring the rook over. Or should we do it with the empress, I guess? I guess doing it with the empress makes a little more sense. Or we can just double them up, can't we? Yeah, even better. Okay, we double up, and now we're just looking for rook takes this pawn, and then we can win the bishop. Surely we can demote a rook on a different turn, and that should be totally winning. All right, move number 1. We go ahead and... we grab our coin first, thank you very much. We take this pawn, and it traps the bishop. Nice, there's no way to defend it, so we just take. This bishop is pinned as well. Let's go ahead and demote one of these rooks. Or should I stack up these coins? I feel like I could probably win this without having to demote anybody. Okay, let's play rook to c8 with the idea of taking the pawn if the bishop ever tries to move, although it is pinned at the moment, but the king surely will come out. We get d5. Oh, that's really concrete, actually. Yeah, because the idea is king to d7, protects the bishop with the rook behind it and threatens the rook. If we bring the empress into play, I don't think we change anything. King to d7 is fine anyways. We could probably use this demotion coin and trap the rook back here from defending, and then the bishop would just move out of the way. It's not super convincing, but it's probably still winning. Yeah, so let's move the empress down, expecting king to d7. That's exactly what we get. Let's demote this rook. And the bishop does in fact move to e7, defending f8. Now the empress also moves like a knight, so we can just take here with check. The king would move up, and that kind of stinks of mate, but I don't actually see how we would win that. Let's go ahead and just take with check first. King moves back. Check again. King moves back once more. Check, king d8 is forced. Is there mate here? No, there isn't mate, but we can force win this bishop with empress to b8. And then rook to c8, there's no way to save that bishop. Okay, you know what? I've changed my mind on the empress. I kind of like it now. Pawn to f5, nice, this is completely winning. Let's just take this pawn, I guess. Sure, take another pawn. And this is a matter of simplification. Okay, score victory. Apparently we accidentally scored +10 for 2 turns. And that wins us $6 in rewards. Nice. Let's go ahead and see what that buys us in the shop. We should have a bit of money. Oh no, we have $12 because we bought the empress. Why does this guy have a rainbow on him? Okay. Let's read through the options. Badges. Meet the medic. Gravestones now appear when any friendly unit dies. Move over one with a king and it will revive it. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. The other badges didn't need it. At round start, randomly sell a piece from your setup board, but receive 1.5 times its purchase value. The piece can still be used for that match. Ooh, kind of scamming the game there, but they're letting us do it. Ooh, the queen coin is also very interesting. Wow, this is an extremely stacked offer, basically. It's going to be hard to decide what to choose. So obviously we can get another queen. Then we have the money coin, but we already have one of those, and we're probably just going to use it on our opponent's queen before demoting it. Okay, as far as pieces go, we have a dragon bishop, which moves like a king and a bishop. I quite like that idea. We have a camel, which I don't like. If anything, it doesn't even have that many squares it can move to. It's very hard to maneuver. And then we have a rainbow camel. When taken, spawn a random piece with value less than half of this one, and its value is 2. So it would basically spawn a pawn. If even that, because it'd have to be less than half, and a pawn is worth 1. Okay, so this is kind of useless, besides the dragon bishop, which is actually very interesting. Okay, I think the queen coin is sort of a no-brainer. It's these badges and the dragon bishop that I'm having a hard time deciding between. Okay, let's go with the dragon bishop. I think that's the most sensible decision. And let's see what we're actually met with. Okay, so this is the second round. we have a difference of, ooh, a man and a queen. Okay, so there's the queen. We can use the money coin and get half of the queen's value in cash just for playing the round, and then demote it to a queen when we get that demotion option. And then besides that, I think we should be in a good spot. We can even use the queen coin if it's really necessary. It should be totally winning. Okay, nice. Oh, I forgot to reorient my position, but like I said, this should be completely crushing anyways. Let's use the money coin on the queen. Thank you very much. $4 in our pockets. Now let's demote the queen to a pawn, and we get e5. Okay, the last optional step is to use the queen coin, but I kind of want to hold on to it if I think this is winnable without it. So let's play d3, looking to develop the dragon bishop. We get man up to d5. Oh, I forgot that this could move like a pawn on its first turn. That was very confusing to me, but if you do highlight the piece, it says can move 2 squares forward on the double step row, which means the starting position. Okay, but besides that, it just moves like a regular man. Let's play rook to a5, target it. It moves forward 1 more. It feels like we can trap it here in just a second. c3 seems to trap it altogether. And we get b6, counterattacking the rook. So we could just sack the rook for the man, and honestly, I wouldn't be mad about that since these rooks are so undeveloped, we can probably pick up a whole bunch of free pawns. Nice, we'll take back with the Empress, forking the pawn on a6 and e5. We'll take here anyways. Nice, d7. I mean, this is just winning in so many different ways. Let's take this. Rook takes back. Develop the dragon bishop. King shuffles over. Should we just sacrifice here? I think we should. This just seems completely winning. We take back. Nice, king comes up to e7. We have a rook that also moves like a knight, so we can take on c7. Okay, rook to g8 looks for g3, or rather g2, but we can move to g3 and that's totally defended. Rook to g5. And it's not a trivial simplification, but it's not all that difficult either. Let's play b4, bring up the king. f5, king to b3 again. Rook goes back, let's give check. Check again. And this seems like a free pawn. Yeah, I think we can just pick that up for free. Rook shuffles over, Empress back to f4. Pawn to d5. Let's play h4 so we have another pawn in the game. We get rook to f6, push b5. Nice. I don't see how they're going to stop this pawn without bringing the king over. Nice. And surely we can push this one as well. Maybe even back it up with Empress to h4. King goes back, so I'm just going to push this pawn again. King goes back again, now this way. Oh, okay, so the rook is going to try to hold on to everybody, I see. Let's bring the king up to b5, d4. Does king to a6 not just allow us to force the pawn through? Okay, rook to h7 defends this. I just push. Takes, king to a7, pin the pawn. Yeah, pins the pawn, king to a8. If check, I promote. Nice. And this is just a matter of conversion now. I think we might even be able to give the 6 checks like this. So 1, 2, 3. Is my opponent just gonna move back and forth? 4. I don't want to end up in a draw by accident, although I don't know if that's how this works. 5 and 6. Nice. All right, with that we clear round number 2. It was a little more invested than I thought it was going to be, or rather a little more involved than I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't that bad. We got to keep the queen pawn coin and we got $6. All right, nice. So our badge options are high turnover. The first piece, badge or coin sold after completing a match can be sold for its full purchase price. Okay, this kind of implies that I have something that I want to get rid of, and I really don't. I've been quite reserved about how I set this up. Windows shopper, I mean, maybe it's worth it if everything else is bad, but I already see the queen coin and I'm already interested in that, so we'll pick that up. We now have the option of making 2 new queens. It's not the same as buying a queen outright, but if anything, it's kind of less expensive, and if I don't need it every single round, it might work out sort of the same. Oh my goodness, the Amazon, look at this guy. The whole board just lights up. You look at the man or a pawn, and then you pick this guy, and the whole board is just lit up. It moves like a rook, a bishop, a knight, and a king. No money? Oh, why did I spend... Wait, I didn't have the money for it anyways. Is there any way I can get more money back? I need $14. How do I make $14? Can I sell the courtesan? I don't ever use that. Can I recycle you? Cannot be sold? Are you kidding me? Why? Because you're a badge? Oh, that's such a shame. Can I freeze you? Oh, freeze for future shops. Excellent. That's what I like to see. Okay, I think with this, we're good to move on to the next stage, which is the boss round. The modifier is enter the dragon. And this is the one that caused us a lot of trouble last time, because the king basically moves like a queen, and that's always very, very rough to deal with. If we can use the demotion coin, though, we might be in a really good spot. So is there any optimal way to set this up before we dive in? I'm going to just bring one of these pawns over to serve as a defensive piece. The bishop, I guess we should probably put it on the long diagonal. Maybe like this. And besides that, I don't think it's worth hyper optimizing too much more. I think we can just take the pawn on a7 and then hopefully try and demote the king, although we'll see if that actually works in that manner. Okay, so the king can't actually do anything special right now, so I might be able to just take on a7 first, grab that pawn, take the back rank, and please let this coin work on the king. Oh, it cannot be used on a king. I honestly should have seen that coming. Okay, let's use it on the queen then. It's the next best bet. The knight develops. So we need to focus on trapping this king basically, and we don't have that much to work with. I mean, we have the 2 queen coins, but I don't really want to spend them if I don't have to. Okay, I'm honestly willing to sacrifice the rook for the knight just to get another piece off my back. And even though I just said I didn't want to use this, let's use it on the e2 pawn. Okay, we do sacrifice that. The empress takes back. Now we just have to be real careful with this king. We might even just try to win with 6 checks instead of actually looking for mate like we did last. Actually, no, last time we won by taking all of the pieces, which actually is pretty feasible. Let's do that. Let's develop our pieces and just target everything. So target d7, target g5. That was a little fork that we had there because of the empress. We get d5 in response. If we take, there's a rook to g8, which unfortunately skewers the queen to the pawn behind it, who has no defense. We could also just give this check. King shuffles over. Knight here, or rather empress there, and then we're threatening taking on d8. Let's give that a try. Check. King goes all the way to g8. Okay, fair enough. Knight here, or rather empress here. I don't know why I just want to call it a knight. I guess it's shaped like one. We get pawn to h5. So obviously the escape for the dragon king is now on h7. We can just take. The king would move up, and then I guess we could sack, although that's not super necessary. Okay, let's do this. Let's take on d8, and there's no actual threat here. So I think we're good to just keep taking, threaten the rook. Oh, the king goes back as well. Okay, now maybe it's worth sacrificing, because the idea is just to grab all the pawns afterwards, and that shouldn't be terribly difficult. Okay, let's start by taking on e7. King shuffles over, still defending the rook because it moves like a queen. Let's play. King moves to e8. Now if we take here, the king can take back. We grab this pawn, and it should be basically impossible to defend all the other pawns. I feel pretty confident that I can hunt the rest down. We get d4. Go ahead and just take on b5. g6, so the king defends this pawn now. Let's play queen to b6. Target this pawn and g6. We get king to e5. I just have to be really sure that there's no like sneaky mates for the king. And I don't believe there are. Yeah, this king's just so well defended, I don't see how my opponent could follow through. Let's just take on g6. King goes down to e2. I mean, sure, you can take that, I guess. Let's offer it up, I guess. Queen d3. Sure, I'll take on d4. And the last thing I have to do is take the pawn on h5, and this is completely won. So let's finally develop this, what is this, a dragon bishop? Yeah, dragon bishop, and then take this pawn. Nice. All right, pretty straightforward. We just have to be careful that the strategy, oh, I like that he rolled off the board. That's kind of funny. That's what I threatened to do in the very first episode. I did like that the strategy involves, or rather, I like that we identified that the strategy is different from when the king is not able to move like a dragon. Okay, we have the queen coin as well. For badges, we have retreating pawns. Pawns can move backwards, which is kind of useless. High turnover, I don't intend on getting rid of any of my pieces. I'm quite happy with my choices. This is the frozen piece, the Amazon, which moves like a knight, a rook, a bishop, and a king. So, I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. It is $14, which is quite expensive. So I'm going to be careful not to lose him, but let's go with that. You know what? I might even buy a queen while I'm at it. Let's just go broke. Yeah, why not? All right, let's go on to the next stage. All right, round 1, 2, and then the boss, who will have a double rainbow. Oh, I like that I can see the modifier. I didn't realize, I don't know if that was always there. At match start, make 3 random enemy pieces rainbow. Rainbow pieces spawn a random friendly piece when taken. Okay, so let's focus on the task at hand. Standard brings 4 rooks and a queen, all the pawns, and challenging is a full army, but one of the bishops is a rook. Actually, this is quite difficult. I mean, in theory, I could just demote the queen, and it would just be 4 rooks to play against, which is really not that bad. I guess I could do the same thing on this board as well. It would just be a lot more tactical because the opponent has way more pieces to work with. Whereas here, the opponent would have 4 rooks and it's way more brute force. Let's go with this one just because I know I can wipe this queen off the table. And I'm not super confident that without something like an atomic badge, I can actually handle a full army with a upgraded bishop to a rook. Okay, let's start by taking on a7. We do get the recapture. We'll take back with the Empress. D5, and let's go ahead and demote the queen. See you later. E6, because this isn't actually hanging. Oh, and we have the Amazon as well. I totally forgot that we had this. Oh, maybe challenging was possible, actually. Oh, it's a little bit of a shame. Okay, let's play E4. And this guy just moves like everything, so might as well develop you now. We might even be able to finish this off with just a bunch of checks. Okay, C6. Let's play check. Oh, this is so tempting. King to E7. I could play here. This is check number 2. King takes back, check number 3. King goes back, check number 4. D6, and I don't think it's super concrete quite yet. But it's a very, very tempting idea. Actually, we've already given 1 check. So if I take check number 2, king takes check number 3. King moves over, 4. Oh, let's just try it. I just have to try it. Okay, check number 3 right here. King moves over. I need 3 more checks. This is so hard to mess up. Let's do this. King shuffles over. We need 2 more checks. Let's just go back to D4. E7. Should I sack the Amazon? No, that's silly. Nice. With Amazon to C5, we actually win that round. And I actually have to think of my strategy next round, including the Amazon. We only get $4 for that because we chickened out. Let's see. We have $4 to work with. Luckily, we have an Amazon, we have an Empress, we have a Rook, we have a Dragon Bishop, we have 2 Queens. I mean, I can't complain too much, but I did put myself in this position to only have $4 left to work with. I don't even think it's worth buying anything, to be honest. We could just re-roll just for funsies and see if we see any other weird pieces. But let's just move on to the next stage. Okay, so we can face Standard, which is, again, which is actually challenging from last round. A full army with a Bishop upgraded to a Rook. Or we can do challenging where there's a man, or rather 3 of them. I like this. Let's go challenging. Oh, once more, I've forgotten to change my upgrade. We do get the demotion pawn. Is there anything I can take straight away? Like, can I sack the bishop here for the man and then take on A7? I don't know if that's a little bit rash. Maybe I can just take on A7 if the rook takes back. No, then I'd lose the Empress. Okay, let's do this. We'll develop the Amazon and bring it into the attack. We get man to C6, threatens the Amazon with the queen, and here I really have to be careful because fair trades actually don't favor me at all. Let's move the Amazon over to E3. Knight to F6 is actually just normal development. Okay, let's use the demotion pawn right now on the queen. I just don't want to have to deal with her for no reason. We get knight to D5. Let's move the Amazon to safety. It's a little bit of a headache that I have to take care of her more than I can actually use her right now. We get knight to B4. Rook to A4, I guess, threatening the knight. Man to C, or rather B5, actually kind of traps that rook there. We can obviously take, but the man takes back, and we're not looking so hot all of a sudden. All right, rook to A3, there's really no choice here. We get knight to C6. Let's play C3 and boot the knight. Knight goes back to A6. I like that a little bit better than where it was before. Let's follow up with B3 so the man can't continue to advance, and then we get E5. Wow, this is very strong. We could sack the Dragon Bishop on C6, anything takes back, and the Amazon can finally come into play by taking the pawn on E5, which is pretty interesting actually. But if I can avoid it, I will, so I'm just going to play F4 and try to bring that. Oh, wow, Bishop takes the Rook. Oh, I didn't see that. Okay, let's take back. Man to B6. I still think we have winning chances. I just think they're not as good as they were a second ago. Let's go ahead and take back. Knight to C5. Okay, I really didn't want to have to do this, but I don't think this Amazon alone is going to cut it. Let's bring one of these queen coins, and let's promote the pawn on E2, I think. Okay, we get bishop to E6. We have to be really careful of this kingside attack. I mean, there's 4 pieces. The bishop is now lined up as well, looking straight at our king. I think the only way to take some of this pressure off is to probably sack the Empress for the man on B5, just maybe not right now because we're losing B3. So let's play C2 first. We get king over. Should I sack now? Takes back. I take back. I lose the Empress for 2 men, but the position is a lot easier to work with, and I still have the queen and the Amazon. Not to mention, I think I'm winning one of these knights after, so let's go ahead and take. Okay, takes back. I take. Nice, and I do win one of these 2 knights. Question is which one? Probably this one to put the opponent king in check. Nice, the knight goes back. There is this kind of pressure on B3, but a sack there would be a little bit in vain. So after knight to E7, how do we continue this attack? Let's take the pawn on A7. We get knight to f5, threatens the Amazon. It's interesting because I've underestimated how valuable it is to just have a mass of pieces. Let's see, I can just take, my opponent takes, I take back. The only weird thing I'm dealing with at that point is the man, and just have to not lose the queen to that. I could just shuffle the queen over though. Or rather, shuffle the Amazon over. Rook would move somewhere where it's defended, probably c8 to continue to defend d8. And then maybe dragon bishop to b7. I mean, there's winning chances here. I don't have to sell myself short. Let's play the dragon bishop down here. Nice, the man moves over, we pick up the rook. Oh, bishop takes back, whoops. Let's use that undo. So we are threatening the rook. I just didn't get to calculate if it's actually worth it. Let's double down. Let's play queen to a6, double down on the rook instead. Okay, now we can take it. That makes sense to me now. We take back with the queen, threatening the knight. We really could just sacrifice the Amazon, but again, it's so unnecessary. But this man is so annoying. It just controls all of these squares. It's actually a really good defensive piece. Would it be too cheeky to bring the courtesan all the way up and try to target the man? It feels like a valid idea. You know what? Let's just sacrifice. There's no need to overthink this when it's already completely winning. Let's give another check by picking up the pawn. How many checks do we even need? 3 more? 1, 2, 1 more check. 3, nice, okay. That works out even better. With that, we do win round number 2. Don't let me forget, I need to reorient my pieces because this a7 attack was good for one very specific round, and then I never bothered changing it again. Okay, we have $10 to work with. We could buy another demotion pawn, which is actually very, very amusing because then we'd have 2 of them. At that point, we'd have $7 left, and we could, you know, pack up another dragon bishop if we pleased. Okay, we could do a unstable queen, which means a 1 in 3 chance of losing it. And we can do rook promotions, which turn into empresses, but honestly, most of my rooks end up turning into sacrifices anyway, so let's go with the demotion and another dragon bishop. Okay, now before I start the next stage, let's actually adjust our position. So this is what we're going to be dealing with. The same thing as last time actually, but the modifier is double rainbow, which means that if we take one of those rainbow pieces, they spawn another friendly piece for the opponent. Okay, that's not too terrible. Okay, so the natural attack here is actually on this pawn now, so it's a little bit annoying, but we're going to reorient all of these pieces. How do we reorient all of these pieces? Like this. Bring the pawn over. This is like one of those ad games that you get on your iPhone where you have to move like sand or little spheres and stuff around. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Let's move everything over. Okay, we have Empress and Rook staring at this pawn, which doesn't have a man next to it, so it actually is undefended. Not to mention it's right next to the king. The demotion pawn is going straight onto that queen, and our queen pawn will pretty much go on any one of these, and it should be good. Let's bring this pawn over and stack up these dragon bishops. Should probably put the courtesan right next to the king. That seems to make a little bit more sense. Bring this pawn over. This is all very nicely defended now. We have the Amazon right behind it as well. And you know what? Let's bring the Amazon over this way. That way our full attack is on the king side. All right, let's get started. Hopefully this pawn is not a rainbow piece. That would be a huge shame. All right, just the rook, which is totally fine. Either way, it spawns a piece that's less than half the value. Oh, and we have 2 demotions? Okay, let's start by taking on h7. And before the queen can escape, we'll demote her, and we might even demote the man, so it's easier to target the king. So let's take on h7. Rook takes back. We'll take back with the Empress. It spawns a, what is that? Enemy camel. Is that not just free right now? Looks like I can just take that. Okay, so it did spawn a friendly piece, but it didn't even get to come into play. Let's demote the queen right now. And, oh, it's so tempting to demote the man, because that's honestly one of the more annoying pieces. We could also demote the knight and weaken the man in the center, but I just don't want to have to deal with these pieces, so let's demote that guy as well. Okay, the knight comes up to e4, threatens the dragon bishop. I could just sacrifice. Could spawn a queen and start looking for checks. So many interesting ideas. Okay, let's play this, threatening the knight on e4. I think that's a valid course of action. We get man to d4. Can we just sack one of these dragon bishops for a man and a knight? It looks like we can, so we'll take. Nice, we take back. I like that trade. I think it's favorable for us. We get knight to c6. We'll never get to use this coin again because this is the end of the entire run, so might as well drop it right now on e2. And we get pawn to g6. Let's develop the Amazon. Actually, no, let's do a little crazy tactic here. Let's sacrifice here on c6, removing the defender of the e5 pawn. We get check number 1. Surely we can get 6 checks here somehow. Or maybe not, wait a minute. Okay, we can if we sacrifice the empress on g6. Pawn takes back, we pick up the bishop. Other bishop would block, and then we should be able to just give checks, I think. Yeah, that seems concrete. Let's take here on g6. Pawn takes back, check. Bishop comes out. Now the king is trapped. So I just need to bring the queen into play, or rather the Amazon into play. Let's take on g6, check. Oh, and that's mate, right? Because the Amazon covers f8 as well. All right, we win, and that actually concludes the demo. Nothing unlocked this time because we've already done this before. We've just never done it with the challenging one. So that wraps up the challenging bot. Honestly, felt easier than the normal bot, but that's probably just because I'm getting more used to the game. The other option is Grandmaster. It will take longer to think, and I already use big chunks of time. So if you guys do want to see me play the Grandmaster, let me know in the comments down below. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next one.